Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, a place for tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious to unite under all things art and tattoos. We encourage you to join in these live streams and real-world events where we offer a new option for connecting with each other to better your art, develop your skill set, and be with other like-minded artists. If you're new to our community, you can find us beaming out nearly every day. We've evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo and art shows that are expanding all the time. Thank you to everyone joining us on YouTube or Facebook, and a special thanks to those of you who are listening to the podcast. Our event schedule and notifications can be found in our official Reinventing the Tattoo community. To get there, search for and download the Reinventing the Tattoo app that is found in both of your app stores, Apple and Google Play. You can also join directly at community.reinventingthetattoo.com. All of our network shows, art jams, drawing groups, interviews, panels, webinars can be enjoyed on demand and are stored in our library, as well as the YouTube and podcast channels. There you'll find countless tattoo and art rabbit holes, perfect for the front room of your studio or to entertain tattoo clients. In fact, we're beaming out 4 channels 24/7. If you go to reinventing247.com, you can see all of this and enter to win a goodie bag with samples from Cheyenne cartridges, raw pigments, and D-Lies Pro. We also have several weekly shows and drawing groups too. Every Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m., you can join Jason Lesser for his Reinventing drawing group. All skill levels are welcome. At 9 p.m. on Sundays, you can watch the Tattoo Weekly with myself, Gabe Ripley, and Jake Meeks of our affiliate Fireside Tattoo. Every Monday evening, we have our evening canon class with subscribers led by Guy Aitchison. This month, we are focusing on anatomy. To join, subscribe to the canon at courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. Every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., we have Ricardo Sturdivant for his Reinventing drawing group. Wednesdays at noon, you can find the Tattoo Now show hosted by Gabe Ripley. Every Thursday afternoon, you can find the Tattoo Collecting podcast hosted by Vaughn Baker and Jordan Rookus. And on Thursday mornings, subscribers are welcome to join Kier for skill levels that are focused on apprentices, fundamentals, and such. Now, there are several ways to support our show, and that is by checking out some of our upcoming pro development and on-demand shows. We've got stuff from Andre Malcolm, BJ Betts, Bob Tyrell, and others. Find all of this at courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. Of course, we mentioned this being a free community, and we want to say thank you to all of our sponsors for making that happen for us. We recommend checking out World Tattoo Events at worldtattooevents.com. They are the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. Lots of stuff is updating as conventions are rescheduling like crazy, so definitely remember to check them out. We also have Inkjet Stencils, found at inkjetstencils.com. Now, print stencils from your mobile or computer. Save your time, hands, and apprentices' hands. Webinars and free samples are located on their website. We've also got Raw Pigments, an ink company that is tapping into the source with acrylic-free pigments that have really been impressing artists across the globe. You can find out more about them at rawpigments.co. We also have D-Lies Pro, known internationally as Dermalize Pro. Protect your art. If you're using saran wrap, watch videos of tattooers to see what it's all about at dermalizepro.com. Also, thank you to Tattoo Now, which is tattoo technology for tattooers. And of course, the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo, Guy Aitchison. You can find his Biomech encyclopedia, DVDs, machines, paintings, and more at guyaitchison.com. We also want to say thank you to our affiliate Fireside Tattoo Network, the Apprenticeship Diaries, and ecofriendlytattoosupplies.com. Now, I know it's cool seeing us on the screen, but there, of course, are real-world events that are upcoming at the end of this year. October 3rd to 6th, the Paradise BYOB in Jiminy Peak, Massachusetts, will be webcasting shows live with tons of great content going on. As well as November 12th to 14th, you can find us in Belgium at the Brussels Tattoo Convention. Nick Baxter, Ivana, and Gabe will be doing seminars, beaming in an art jam, and a subscriber-exclusive meetups, as well as general ones. Next May 20th to 22nd, you can find us in Hell City. July 8th to 10th, the Rock River Tattoo and Art Expo. There'll be a Reinventing track artist. Amazing venue. It's easy to get to from anywhere in the world. July 29th to 31st, 2022, the Rubber City Tattoo Invitational will be back with Tony Urbanek in Akron, Ohio. Now, if you guys missed that Paradise Tattoo Gathering, don't worry. Next October 20th to 23rd, the Paradise Tattoo Gathering will be back. Now, we welcome positive reviews on our channels and would love for you to follow us. But if you would like to host a Reinventing event or to sponsor our community, just send us an email to management@reinventingthetattoo.com. Now, I'm going to get out of here. I will be in the background reading off comments. I'll have my browser open to share inspirations and references. Let me know where you're beaming in from. Thanks to our growing crew of contributing artists, truly helping Reinventing reach more of the right people for the right reasons. Thank you for inspiring each other and everyone in our virtual Reinventing offices. All right, Ricardo, how are you doing today? Welcome everybody who's joined. Jason, Faith, Joe.
Morning, guys. How's it going?
Good morning.
Well, Ricardo and I have been on for a little while. Jason's smiling. We've been talking about different stuff, experiences over the last weekend, some of the effects of the mask mandates of the different conventions happening. And yeah, I guess it's almost time to jump right into to what you're working on today.
Yeah, I figured that we just go ahead and kind of roll with it and get some drawing done on the skull. And I'm going to be working with some tone paper, some tone gray paper is what we're using today. You can see that.
Oh.
Let's see. Put it up here.
Sure.
Is that backwards?
No, it's coming across okay.
Okay, cool. So there you go. Let's see if you can see it. Tone gray paper. Anyways, you can pick this up anywhere. Amazon, box stores, anywhere you want to go. I threw up a skull on the Reinventing that. If you guys want to go into the community group and check that out, you can grab it up. I think I'm going to jump in on the Zoom on my iPad here right now and get this going so we can kind of go through it real quick. I need this guy. All right, cool. All right, so.
Well, you guys are pulling it up. I know, Jason, you're familiar, but Ricardo's operating on 3 different devices. So if anyone's watching, it's really cool that you can utilize Zoom, screen share from an iPad while using your phone to project what you're doing, and maybe your computer to have the Zoom going.
Yep.
You know, Lauren, I keep thinking, like, imagining where Ricardo was back in January, right?
Yep.
Where, he was just joining from his phone and seeing the amount of just coming into the modern age, his advancements in technology over the past, several months. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I think we could push it, though. I think we could have him using 8 devices at one time.
There we go.
I think we should really try to push that maximum there.
You might be right, dude. Okay.
We're going to have you on quantum computers next. We're going to have you doing all types of stuff in virtual reality. Yeah,
Man,
I foresee a very awesome advancement coming up for you, man. I really do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate
Full
that,
virtual reality environments.
VR would be pretty amazing. If we could create like a VR room, like a classroom, that'd be fucking rad.
Oh.
I don't think I'm ready for that. I'm just saying.
Give me a month or two.
I ain't,
Challenge accepted.
Let's
the
do
moment
it.
machines start looking at me or something like that, I'm out. I'm good.
Because then we could do like our own avatars and our own clothes and stuff like that, man. That'd be awesome.
I don't know if you want to go down that rabbit hole, though, Ricardo.
Right?
The most obnoxious avatar you could ever imagine.
Right? To be like a dragon next to it, like a little Tinkle Bear fairy or something.
Right?
I don't know. It'd be
So,
weird.
I mean, well, the thing of it is, though, would you show up in your PJs still?
I wouldn't. Well,
I'd show up in my PJs for sure, man. I'd be like, oh, here we go. I'm late to class. I'm late to VR class.
If only it was that easy. Oh my God.
Right.
Can you talk through some of the stuff that you're doing just for people that are?
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting ready to do. Thank you, Lauren. It's I was going to show you the time-lapse replay. What I did was screenshot a skull just off of Google. And you can see what I did there is I just, that whip played really fast. Look at that. All right, so basically I screenshotted a picture off of Google, which is this. And what I've done is I've gone through and I've dropped the saturation out of it, or I've taken all the saturation out of it to make it black and gray. And then I've went through and played around with the curves to give us a little bit more of a clear view of like some highlights on the skull, some of the darker areas in the skull that we're going to use to help kind of shape this image out. And then I'll do this real fast. I'd like to do this. Oh, we're just going to focus on some basic shapes.
Now, when you adjust the curves,
Mm-hmm.
are you trying to include those midtones in there, or are you just trying to get it to be super high contrast?
I'm going for super high contrast. I mean, I could drop it out a little more. Here's what we'll do. We'll do that. Thank you, Jason.
Well, because I know some people like it, you know, as high contrast as humanly possible. Other people, you know, like to have a lot of those subtle midtones in there for, you know, later stages. I just wasn't quite sure which direction you were taking it.
Yeah, well, I'll play around with both. I mean, with the midtones on this tone gray paper, I was trying to leave some of them in there. That way we could use that and explain that as far as like what it is that we're looking at with the mid-tone gray paper.
Gotcha.
That way we can match it. You know what I mean? But I think it would be a good idea to kind of go over some of the contrast points first. So we'll do that next. So, just looking for some basic shapes. And I'm always looking for these like plot points too. And today I think we'll play a little bit with scaffolding, which is a technique that's used in a lot of traditional kind of oil paints by the masters. Leonardo, Michelangelo, and all those Ninja Turtles. Got somebody to laugh. There we go.
That was me.
All right. So you can see, again, all I'm doing is paying attention to these super simple shapes. So if you guys want to screenshot that, you can use it for some reference today because I'm going to turn this thing off so we can start drawing. And I'll show you guys the scaffolding process. Stop share. Oh, there we go. So earlier today, we were talking about some of the travels and stuff like that we've gone through this year. And I was wondering if any of you guys have anything to add as far as like what you think the most important part of our job is. Jason, Joe, I know you're in here. Faith, even. I know what you guys, I was curious about your guys' opinion as far as like the client. You know, a lot of times we can have some clients come in that are really pushy about like they want some tattoos that are exactly as is, that they get off Pinterest that are already an existing tattoo. How would you guys say that you go about like approaching that conversation with them? You know, because I've had a lot of people come in and they say, no matter what happens, this is exactly the same tattoo that I want. And I know for me, from my experience, I always try to sit down with them and conversate with them, have that conversation about how you don't want to take other people's tattoos. You know what I mean? Like it's somebody else's work, it's somebody else's dedication, their time, their effort, their money. And we always end up trying to, I start asking them questions like as far as what exactly is it about this tattoo that you like? You know, so sometimes it's subject matter, sometimes it's the fact that they don't realize they like black and gray or color more. What do you guys think?
I think it kind of depends on the image that they come in with. Personal opinion, of course. You know, they come in with an image that's a sketch or a drawing or a design that they found on Pinterest or Google or wherever, right? Their friends, brothers, cousins, homies, grandma who's locked up drew it for them while they were locked up, right? If they're coming in with something like that, that they've readily found available, that, you know, is out there, but it's just that it's a sketch, it's a drawing, it's, you know, a Photoshop collage, it's whatever. Okay. Once again, sit down and you ask them, what is it about this that you like? You know, obviously, you know, if someone comes in with like a Greek mythology sleeve, it's like, well, we're not in Greek antiquities, so I don't really know if this really has that kind of meaning unless you were Zeus in a previous life. But, you know, so what is it that appeals to you about this image? What is it that you really like? Is it the way that it's done? Is it how it's rendered? Is it the style it's done in? Is it the color scheme or lack of color scheme? Is it the amount of value or contrast in it? Is it the placement, position? Is it, you know, what is it? Really get down to the nitty gritty of what do they really like? What are they really looking for? And then you can provide them with the service that they're asking for. But until you can understand that, you know, which a lot of people out there might be thinking, well, you know, I mean, I'm coming from a street shop mentality. That's where I worked for 9 years prior to where I am. You know, where it was none of that matters. You get them in, you do whatever tattoo they want, and you get them out as efficiently as possible. Well, that never really sat well with me, right?
Because I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, because I used to have people that would take some of, and there's a reason why if you go to my Instagram, there's no original artwork posted up there anymore. If there is, it's taken at a very extreme angle, or it's a video. And the reason being is because I actually saw someone at a tattoo convention that really liked something that I had drawn. And I saw them walking around later that day with the design I had drawn that they had taken to someone else.
Oof, that's rough.
And apparently what they did was they walked down the aisle, waited until I turned my back, came back down, took a picture of it at the booth, and then walked down the aisle and got it priced out because they didn't like the price I gave them.
Oh man, that's rough, dude.
So
that's rough.
You know, coming from that kind of a perspective, that's not something that I will do to other people. I've had that done to me, and I know how shitty that is.
Right.
You know, so if I don't want that done to me, why am I going to do that to other people?
So you're going by that golden rule of do unto others as you would like them to do it to yourself.
Exactly.
But not a lot of people feel that same way. Like the unfortunate part, and I agree with you completely, man, but the unfortunate part is that people take that dollar into consideration more so than like the time and effort it takes for people to put that, you know, into creation. Like you're taking something from your imagination, just your own personal imagination, your background, your history, your moments, and you're creating it. You're making it real, tangible out of your mind. You know what I mean? And it sucks that somebody's going to take that and just make $1 off of it, like in a moment. And that just washes all of that effort right out the window, dude. And it kind of sucks that we don't have more people. I think, you know, it'd be nicer if people would, I agree with you, like kind of take the time to explain to them, like, where did you get this from? Like, it's a really nice drawing because you do really nice drawings, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's not it. You get into a catch-22 sometimes with a lot of guys that base their entire careers off of just doing walk-in street shop art, you know, that are just there. They've lost their passion for it. They're not artists. They don't know how to draw. You know, they can't sit down and draw a skull like Ricardo. They can't draw flowers like me. They can't draw Japanese waves to save their life. And if they do, they come out looking like little amorphous amoeba blobs. You know, they don't know this stuff. So that's how they have to survive. And I get that. I do. And I'm not saying that they don't have a right to survive. They absolutely do. But they were brought up in the mentality of, you go through and whatever comes through the door, it doesn't matter what image it is. It doesn't matter if it's an existing tattoo. It's, you're there to tattoo this person that just walked in. You need to do this tattoo and you need to do it well and get them out as efficiently as possible. It's not about, you know, drawing. It's not about art. It's not about painting. It's not about coming up with original ideas. None of that matters. What matters is making the money to pay the bills. And yes, that does matter. We all know that. But the difference is, by taking the time to sit down and talk to that person, you're showing that you care. When you show someone that you care and that you actually are willing to invest into their future physical appearance, right? When you show them that you really care about what they're doing to their body, that right there is going to make a much longer lasting impression than that street shop tattoo ever will. The chances that they're going to come back to you moving forward are exponentially higher if you take the time to ask them, why do you like this? What appeals to you about this? Is it the subject matter? Oh, it is the subject matter. You really like cardinals. Cool. Well, let's sit down and let's talk. Where did you want to put it? Okay, cool. Let me draw up a cardinal that I can guarantee you will like way more than this image.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, and it's good to like explain to them too. Don't you think that it's an individual kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like it's tailored to your body. It's tailored for your perception, your ideas, and like what it is that you want to see. You know, and like somebody's gonna have subject matter of the same as you, no matter where you go, right?
True.
But it's all in how you get it done and the artist that you go to. And I think, go ahead, Joe.
I think it all falls down to what we were talking about earlier, is that like half of our job is people relations. We have to relate to the people in order to create good artwork.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We have to have that good conversation. We have to connect in some way to have an understanding of what they want, how they want it, where they want it, and everything. And that's the way I think.
I think you're right.
So you mean to tell me, Joe, that you're not telepathic?
Oh man, I wish, dude, because everybody that comes in here be like, I want a tattoo, but I don't know what I want. You draw something up. I'm like, I don't know what you like.
Here's an easy solution to that, by the way. Go out, you find yourself one of those like RPG game stores or whatever. You get one of those like 25-sided dice.
Oh, you mean the one I have in my drawer? Like I have several of those kind of dice.
You take one of those dice and you draw tiny little numbers at the bottom of pre-drawn designs. You tell them to roll the dice.
That's an idea right there.
It's like, oh, you want to get tattooed? You don't know what you want? Cool, roll this dice. 23, guess what? This is what you're getting. And make sure it's all stuff that's going to appeal to both men and women.
Right.
Make sure that it's very pleasing to the eye. Nothing's going to be too out there or too wacky, right? You know, pre-draw, like old school Flash is great for that.
Right.
You know, panther heads and swallows and roses, anything floral. You know, things of that nature. That's what they're getting.
Yeah.
There's your answer. They have just decided what they are getting tattooed. Obviously, if someone comes in and does that and they get it, you take that design, you file that away because you can't tattoo it on anyone else. So now you have to draw up another design. So it constantly creates creativity. I usually keep mine, and I've got a ton of them drawn out already, probably like 80 of them. I try to keep mine about yay big.
Right. Like it became like a sketch kind of mode thing, you think? Or what do you mean? Why would you draw them like so small or as that big?
because a lot of times when people come in that say that they want to get tattooed, but they have no idea what they want, from my experience, they're not looking to spend a whole lot of money.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Man, that's
normally
really good.
something like a small, something quick.
That's
really
why
good
I keep
insight,
mine
dude.
to no bigger than like 4 inches tall and like 3 inches wide.
Yeah, that's really good insight, dude. I like where you're going with that. I have to keep that in mind.
That's a freaking good idea. I
Yeah,
like
because
that
a lot of
idea
people,
right there.
and a lot of people sometimes like they want tattooed, but they don't want. They think because they see it large or big that they're just gonna get it gigantic. That it has to be a gigantic, right? And it's not the case, right? Okay, so I think we can see a little bit more what's going on here now. Thank you, Lauren. So you can see what I've done with the white is I've gone through and I've created that framework, as Jason would call it, for that skull. If you remember the drawing that I did of the reference material, all I did was replicate those exact shapes. And I know that things are generally pretty much in the same area. And I'm going to focus on relating those line work to the same shapes and the plot points. And there's all kinds of little deviations, like especially right here on this part of the eye. There's this like, it looks like it can go straight across, almost straight to make that square, which is great for a sketch. But there's always these little apexes where we want to focus on those little C curves and S curves that really give it that character. That's what we're going to focus on right here. It's just funny because we've done a lot of traveling this year, Jason, and I've seen a lot of different kind of methods to people's like performance and everything like that. The way they get down, the way they approach their art and stuff like that. And being in the booth with Dennis and you guys this last weekend or this past, 2 weeks ago in Philly was really awesome because Dennis was kind of along the same lines that we were, where you're not going to tattoo everybody. You're not. You know what I mean? It's just plain and simple. The goal isn't to like appease to every single person, but to try to focus and maintain that amount of attention that you need to get your job done really well, to tattoo the person as well as you can, and to be able to show that work proudly. And I think that's a pretty awesome way to approach it because you're not trying to sell yourself. You're just trying to do a great job for every person that will get tattooed by you. So, and the street shop thing, man, that's pretty interesting the way you brought that up because like I've worked in a street shop as well. That's kind of where I got my come up, and it's where I really learned how to draw more than anything else. Like having to be ready for whatever it was that came in that day and be able to sit down with the person's interpretation of their idea and then be able to create that for them in less than 15-20 minutes or so usually, because man, people don't want to really wait that long. Like if you sit there and tell them come back in an hour and a half, 2 hours, they're like, ugh, I'll just go somewhere else.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't draw very fast, so I used to tell them, if it was anything more complex than, a palm-sized design, like my palm size, not like the average palm size, because I got tiny little hands.
Me too.
No, I do, man. I do. I swear, my hands are like super itty bitty. So
yeah, I pretty much
I would hold up my
mediums.
palm and say, if you're trying to get anything bigger than this, I can get you in later today, but it's going to take me at least an hour to draw it up. Go get something to eat at the restaurant across the street and then come back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. And if there's a bar next door,
or go grab a cup of coffee at Starbucks or wherever they want to go or do. Go down the street to the bar. Screw it.
Yeah.
Have 2 beers max, and I'll call and ask. Have 2 beers max and then come back.
Because we're all adults here.
Well,
So,
well,
and if
hold
it
up.
was anything bigger than like, if it was anything bigger than like their palm size, I'd probably just set something up for another day.
Right.
Let me see if I
But I also take forever to draw. So,
right.
Well, that's one of the things that I tried to show, and I know I draw a lot of the same subject matter here, but I want to kind of convey the fact that like if we start breaking it down to what it actually is that we're looking at, we keep practicing this method, you'll be able to start drawing a little bit faster. Just because you start realizing that sometimes you just wrap your head around the concept, around the idea that you're not drawing an image, you're actually just drawing shapes. And I think a lot of the times that's what it was for me coming from a street shop, like I was talking about, and being able to do that, being able to sit down and whip something out real fast for somebody. And at first, when they're looking at it, they're freaking the hell out because like all they see is circles and squares and a bunch of other chicken scratch, But then,
Right.
like, just give me a second. Just give me a second.
Trust the
And
process.
Yeah. And sometimes it just looks like, whoa, how did the hell did you do that? I was like, man, it's just a stick figure, bro. It's just a stick figure. But Joe, I know you're kind of in a street shop right now too, aren't you? Or is you guys stuff more a little more like appointment based and stuff like that too?
I mean, it's 50-50. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends. Because we honestly don't get a lot of foot traffic to be like a kind of a street shop in a way. But I live in a lot of small towns. So it's nothing for somebody to drive in one day and be like, hey, what are you guys doing? And we just kind of figure it out right then and there. So, but I have worked in my first shop that I worked at was on Main Street, and that was a constant people walking in and just be like, can you do this? Can you do that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first experience with street shops and trying to draw on the fly and figuring out what people really wanted and everything else. Fun times.
Yeah, mine too. Mine was pretty much the same kind of thing, man. My favorite was whenever we had all the Cherry Creek flash up. You know what I mean? Do you guys remember Cherry Creek flash?
Hell yeah, I remember Cherry Creek.
Heck yeah, dude. Cherry Creek. Okay, so basically, not to bash anything or talk bad about anything like that, but Cherry Creek was a very popular, source for flash, like wall flash. Like, flash got so popular that sometimes artists couldn't keep up with creating their own images. So you were able to buy from a collection of artists that just sat down and all they did was just draw all these popular images that people would come in and ask for all the time. And they just churned them out and made really high volume productions of these images. And they were in almost every shop that you went into. The same flash sheets, these little cherries, all the dream catchers, and all the the turkey feathers and everything like that, dude. They were everywhere.
American Eagle tearing through the American Eagle skin rip.
Yes, the American Eagle skin rip was awesome.
Yeah, everything you can imagine. That
was so good.
I think the whole origin behind that was because you had a select few people out there that were working in the tattoo field that actually knew how to draw and create artwork.
There you go. That's an even better explanation. Yeah.
Yeah. At the time that Flash got to be super huge, it was still a very trace master kind of society. Right.
Yeah.
There were a whole bunch of people there that, that were doing tattoos that they couldn't draw to save their life. If you said, cool, but draw me some original cherries, draw me an original American Eagle, they would turn around and say, well, what's wrong with this eagle that we have up here on the wall?
Yeah.
Does this not look like an eagle?
Yeah.
And it's well, yeah, but I wanted something different. I want something unique and original. It's like, oh, well, you're going to have to go somewhere else for that.
Yeah. I've heard that a lot.
This is what we do here. These pre-drawn designs. This is all we do.
And there's
If
nothing
we
wrong with
get
that.
in a new
If
sheet of
that's your
eagle, we
thing.
will call you. You know,
Right.
that was the mentality.
Yeah, put it in the Rolodex too, because there was no like, there was no cell phone or anything like that either.
Right.
You had to put it in the Rolodex or the the paper calendar on the desk and stuff like that, man. And that was it. No Instagram, there wasn't even MySpace at that time. You remember that shit?
I will say this. At that point in time, I do appreciate the fact that the majority of decent, reputable tattoo studios out there were known via word of mouth.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, I do have a deep appreciation for that, because that really showed who knew what was going on and who didn't.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more.
But so I do think that there is a very subtle art to Tattoo Flash. You were working alongside Dennis Smythe out of
Yes.
upstate New York, Body Art Tattoo in Plattsburgh, and
Yep.
Phenomenal guy, absolutely insanely talented artist, and
Yep.
he has so many original Tattoo Flash design sheets that he has personally drawn up, hand painted, hand drawn, hand colored, you name it.
Yep.
And these are, they're smaller designs, softball size, maybe smaller. And they're incredibly well rendered, incredibly well done. And he takes the time to plot out what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, and how to get everything to fit and flow onto an 11 by 14 sheet of paper, right? So that everything kind of flows together, right? And everything is part of a greater collection. So you can look at each individual design that's well rendered, and then you can look at the collection of designs as a whole, right, on this individual piece of paper. And it all reads well. It's all cohesive as far as subject matter and theme. It's all cohesive as far as style and design. Like, he really took the time to figure all this stuff out. And it's beautiful. Absolutely.
It's definitely worth it. You can tell the craftsmanship that goes into it for sure, and the artistic ability. Like and then just that perception of ideas, like his imagination really comes through with it too. Like, he had a lot of really cool Wu-Tang stuff that was just awesome, dude. Like, super reference towards the songs, you know what I mean? Like Killer Bees with like little machine guns and stuff like that, dude. That was great.
That's cool.
That was great. Yeah, really rad dude, man. You were right, and he had some really good insight as far as his setup at his at the shows. Like, Jason, you nailed it when you said he's super efficient and stuff like that too. It'd be nice to be able to pick his brain and talk about like what he thinks is important to bring with him. Oh, and there was this odd little like buzzing noise coming from his side of the booth too. Like, I didn't know what it was.
Weird, right? I haven't heard that
really
sound in a long time.
It was really strange. I
geez.
didn't know what was
like
going
out
on.
Of the 40s or something.
Yeah, and I look over and there's this like weird like brass thing in his hand, and it's got like a tube and like this long needle bar thing on it. I didn't get it, dude.
That's crazy.
I think someone was
Witchcraft.
like marking a cow in the next aisle over. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. I think
it was either that or someone was getting electrocuted somewhere.
Somewhere something was happening.
Somewhere something was happening. Yeah, but the coils, dude, he was rocking those coils, man. It was awesome. And he was nailing those tattoos. Dude. That's what he was saying. He's like, I thought about it, but he goes, I just like the way these feel. I was like, man, that's fucking radical, dude. And
hey,
you're producing great work. Like, his color blends were awesome. You know what I mean? Like, come on, dude. Like, why? I mean, if it works for you, then why not?
Right.
And that's something that I think is very critical for a lot of people out there that are really trying to step their game up, that think that, this new machine that came out is going to be the end all be all, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Getting a new machine is not going to make you, a better tattooer. It's not going to help you pull cleaner lines. If you have a decent machine already, whether it's a coil machine, a rotary machine, a cartridge machine, or a standard, needle on bar machine, it doesn't matter what you're using. At the end of the day, what ultimately matters is, do you know how to use it to achieve the desired effect that you're trying to achieve?
That's a
You know?
super valid point, dude.
Yeah, Dennis is the perfect example. He could pick up any machine out there. Doesn't matter what it is.
There was
and he could do an excellent tattoo with it.
Yeah, dude. I don't doubt it, man. Like, you could see just like the experience that came with, learning in the shop, learning in the street shop, going through the experiences that he did with those street shops, and then being able to just sit down and wrap your head around the fact that what it is that you're trying to create. You know what I mean? Like a tattoo. You're trying to make a tattoo, and this is your paintbrush. It is coil machines that you're going to use as a paintbrush, right? And like, you're right, Jason. I think a lot of people think that they're going to pick up this like new, electric hybrid machine that is made from like, the Keebler elves or whatever the hell. Like,
but hey, this one is pneumatic.
Exactly,
this
and like
one
it
runs
doesn't
off of air power.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
I forgot
and it's great, man. But like the thing of it is, though, that's like, and those are great machines. Like the newer ones are awesome, and here this is what the point is that some of the people that didn't like those machines, they didn't understand how the people that were using them were creating these just magnificent tattoos, So I remember there was a grime book. I can't remember the name of it. Grimey put out a book a while back, and it's kind of like a memoir based thing, but like he talked about some of the paintings that he did. Man, he would just find old paints, like house paint, even, stuff that you use on the exterior of a house, and just like make these amazing giant paintings out of them, of dragons and stuff. Dude, it's like, what the hell? How do you do that? But what do you think that is, Jason? Like, you think it's just an understanding of the medium? You think it's like a skill that some people would and can obtain if they really worked hard on it? Or
I personally think it's part necessity, and it's part just necessity. Understanding and boiling things down to its absolute basics. I was talking to John Clark at one of the Philly shows, the tattoo machine builder, at one of the Philadelphia tattoo conventions many years ago. And I just remember asking him, like, dude, how do you come up with all of these ideas for machines that you build? Like the forward coil machine, which, by the way, if you've ever used one of those could drive any grouping you can imagine. They had a punch.
A forward?
Forward. So they took, instead of having a 2-coil machine, right, that were vertical coils, he took one bigger coil, flipped it on its side, had an L-shaped armature bar coming down with a little pin sticking out the front of it. So it had so much weight at the front end that as that came down, it really had some velocity to it.
Oh, wow.
So it could really pack a punch.
That's amazing, dude.
But and he's like, dude, it's just magnets.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Magnets are magnets. That's it. So when you take that same kind of approach to art, does it matter if it's latex-based house paint, or if it's Art Deco craft paint, or if it's, super high grade, heavy pigmented, professional artist studio acrylics? No, it's paint. Use it as paint.
So we've had this conversation several times, and you went to, you went through a formal art education, right?
Correct.
And we've talked about on Guy's show a few times, even like, what do we think the ultimate benefit of that experience was, right? And like, you've even mentioned a few times learning more from these books that Guys put out than you did in college. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't mean that it's the same way for everybody, but don't you think that what we're talking about would kind of relate to that, in a sense that like you have to experience the knowledge, right? Like you can be taught it, but you have to like kind of get your hands dirty with it, so to speak, or you have to kind of like pick it up and hold it and feel how it feels, and like see if it's even explained to you the right way.
Correct.
What do you think about that? Would you agree with that? Like, you feel that you get more out of the experience of art rather than the education part of it, or does it kind of just click? Because for me, it just kind of clicks after you've
Well,
been doing it for a little
let
while.
me preface what I'm going to say with one very clear statement.
Okay.
And this is my philosophy on higher education in general. Okay.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
people out there that may be watching this, that maybe, you know, you're thinking about going to college, maybe you just got out of high school and you want to be a tattoo artist, but you don't really know anything about art. You draw all the time, but you know, maybe it could be better. College is there to show one thing and one thing only. College is there to prove that you can make a commitment and stick to it. It is an endurance test, and that is all. Okay. 90 some odd percent of people out there, or sorry, 80% of some odd people out there that go to college right after high school and get a bachelor's degree do not end up working in the field in which they have their degree. That is statistic fact. That is not assumption. That is not hypothesis. That is a fact. Because of that, what does having a bachelor's degree mean? It means that you can see something through to the end. You can stick it out and put up with enough stuff that you can get that piece of paper, right? That's all that going to school means. Now, going to art school for me was great. And I really learned a lot from it because it gave me the exposure to working in so many different mediums that I probably would never have done oil painting if I hadn't gone to school. I probably would have never gotten into copper plate printmaking if I had never gone to school. I would have never done, oh Lord, what is that? I think it's like limestone. It's not monotype printing. It's lithograph. Like,
okay.
I would have never done stone lithographs if I had never gone to school. I wouldn't know about printmaking digitally if I had never gone to school. You know, I wouldn't have had the exposure to other artists to help me think outside of the box if I had never gone to school.
Yeah, that's true. So you're talking about, like, from your take from it, formal art education was like an initiation almost to a certain point, right? And also like an exposure to like other concepts that you might not have even thought of, or like even wanted to approach or had no interest in whatsoever. And like, I think the cool part that I can relate to that in a sense, okay, because I've never had the formal art education outside of high school and junior high and all that stuff like that. Was what I get off of this forum is the same kind of environment where you see something being done, you see how somebody might be doing it, and it kind of motivates and inspires you to want to try that too. You know what I mean? So what I think I'm taking away from your conversation is how I relate to this forum and stuff like that with what we're doing is just opening ourselves up to these new experiences and these new concepts that we might not even fucking considered. You know what I mean? So,
oh, absolutely. You know, when it comes down to like actual art education, I didn't have someone sitting down telling me, you know, cooler colors move backwards and warmer colors move forward.
Right. Dude, right.
You know, I didn't have someone telling me that you're going to have something like a corona effect if, you know, and Guy actually explains this in his book, which is where I learned this from, but you can see it in everything if you look at it. When you hold your hand up to the sun to block out the sun, you're going to see differences in value. And you're going to see how things will round off and actually get darker. So if, for example, where the camera is the sun on my hand.
Yes.
Where my visual edge is actually going to be darker than right next to it. That's going to create the effect of rounding over and rounding things off and creating the illusion of depth, right? By adding texture to certain areas, it can create a feeling or a perception of detail that otherwise wouldn't be there. Because of that detail, it can cause things to become in focus instead of out of focus. So using focus effects, using lighting effects, limiting your amount of contrast in specific areas to really put emphasis and have to have a larger value range in certain areas to really show detail, to really show contrast in there. That was never taught to me in art school.
Wow.
You know, they didn't do a whole lot of actual instruction. A lot of what they did was sit you in front of a canvas or piece of gessoed paper or panel or whatever and say, okay, here's the model, paint the model.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Like,
99% of the time when we went into class, that was the only instruction we were given.
Wow. Well, I don't know, man. I think that maybe it's a source specific kind of thing. You know what I mean? Maybe
It is.
It could, yeah.
It very much is. And I've had this discussion with Dennis, who has a degree in illustration from Rochester Institute of Technology.
That's right. He did tell me that. Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a phenomenal art school.
Is it really? Okay.
There's generally two schools of thought when it comes down to art school. And for those of you out there that may be considering going to art school, here's something you really want to look into. You need to look into, are they more of a concept art school, or are they more of a practical application art school, right? Concept art schools, like the one I went to without actually knowing it, didn't really teach me technique, but they did teach me how to think outside the box.
Right.
They taught me how to think as an artist, to look at things and see things as an artist would see them. But they didn't actually sit down and tell me, if you want to make this kind of a mark on this kind of a surface, you take this kind of a brush, you hold it here, and you move it like this.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't give me a whole lot of technical instruction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's more like the concept art schools will not give you technical instruction. They will teach you how to see things and think of things outside of the norm, which is what some people need.
Right.
Then you have more hands-on, I guess you would call it more of like a technical art school, right? Where they will sit down and they might not teach you how to think outside the box. They might not teach you, you know, how to do installation art, right? Which is like a whole huge headache. They won't teach you that, but they will sit down and teach you, if you want to create this kind of an effect or this kind of a look, use this kind of a brush, you move it like this. This is how you make this kind of a mark. You know, if you want to make this kind of a mark on paper, you're going to use this kind of a brush, this kind of paint, and this kind of way. If you want to work with graphic marker, here's how you're going to use graphic marker. Here's the best way to use them. And let me demonstrate this for you. And they'll be able to render a full color portrait using nothing but graphic marker. Right?
Yeah.
Because they have that kind of experience and they know exactly how to control the tools that they're using.
So I think the controlling the tools that you're using comes from that hands-on experience too, like being given a guide, so to speak, and then, you know, having the application, having to practice the application where it's almost methodical. You know what I mean? Like you come in, you sit down every day, you start at a certain point in time. Like one of the things that I liked doing whenever I was teaching my daughter, for example, was like, you know, this is the time of day we start this project. This is what you're going to be doing for this half hour. And that's all I want you to focus on. You know, a lot of times I think what happens for us all in life and in our art is that we get so caught up in so many different things and we're like focused on everything all at once that it's really hard to just maintain that patience and maintain that balance that it takes to be able to like focus on your medium, you know?
Well, I do believe that there's a little bit of instruction that should be given.
Yes,
and I
absolutely.
say that only because if you take someone that doesn't know anything about materials, like art materials, and you give them, you know, a large bristle brush and you say, this is a watercolor brush, we're going to use this on paper. You might wonder why they're struggling, right? They might have all the experience using it in the world, but it's never going to turn out like a watercolor painting.
Right.
Right. So I think just little things like that can be gained through time, but sometimes people need a little bit of direction with, you know, could be helpful. But all in all, like, if you sit down with someone that went to art school, and there's a great documentary on this, by the way, it's called Making It, How to Succeed as an Artist. It's for sale on iTunes. Absolutely phenomenal. Very, very inspiring. And it follows careers of several different people, professional, commissioned artists that go through, and they sit down and interview them, and they say, what is making it as an artist? You know, did you go to art school? How do you define success as an artist? You know, is success making a whole bunch of money as an artist, or getting commissioned to do the next Star Wars movie poster, right? Where you get a blank check that says fill it in with whatever amount you want. It's backed by the Disney company. Charge us whatever you want, but we want you to design our next Star Wars movie poster.
I'll take that.
Which ironically will also be used as the cover of the movie.
I will take that offer, and I will just be elated. And you guys just buy me lunch, and that's all that I need. Because to be able to do, like, dude, I can't even imagine. I'd shit myself.
Then you take guys like Chris Cooksey, right? Famous sculptor, born in Kansas, absolutely phenomenal guy, phenomenal artist. He went to college. Okay, he went to I think it was like Kansas State University for Fine Art or something like that. And this is a story that Chris himself will actually tell, and he has in several of his books. He was actually handed a blank check by the CEO of Nike for one of his sculptures. Well,
dang.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
I don't even know.
Right? Like how? Yeah, that'd be cool though. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, that would be cool.
Totally.
You know, but is that being successful in making it as an artist?
That depends on your definition of success, I think, which is a good question for all of us. Faith, you haven't said too much in the room today. How you doing over there?
I'm good.
What do you think? What would you say that your definition of success is now that we're on this topic?
I think success of art isn't making it.
Making it? Just like, you mean as far as like just the creation of the art? Or?
I think if you're creating art, then you've made it.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
I think there's anything that we really have to do other than that.
That's a good point. What about you, Joe?
I don't know. Why are you picking on me now? I was talking.
No. I'm not picking on you at all, man. I wasn't even trying to pick on Faith.
Nice. Don't pick on Joe.
Right?
I'm not picking on anybody.
We want him to come back again.
I'm not picking on anybody.
Do
man.
you
I'm
though?
just trying to hang out.
We really don't. We've been wondering why you haven't stopped coming already, but no.
I grow on people like a fungus. It kind of happens.
I've noticed.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's like athlete's foot, man. Sometimes it's, it's there, and you think he's gone, but he's not really gone. He pops right back up.
I'm that 0.01% germ that hand sanitizer just can't get rid of.
Yeah, and it lives in volcanoes and like at the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
Whoa.
Oh. Now that I know how you really feel about me, let's continue.
Right here for you, Joe.
I feel it. I feel it deep down somewhere.
I've had some people ask me, like some entrepreneurs that I've tattooed. A guy and his girlfriend that I've tattooed for many years they started their own like farm to table restaurant in a surrounding city here in Illinois. And they were asking me one time what I thought the idea of success was. And I was told them that my idea of success as far as running your own business was as long as you can eat and pay your bills, then you're doing good. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
You know, because there's a lot of time for a lot of people that are listening that are just getting started. There's a lot of time that you're going to feel like you're not going anywhere. And I told them the same thing. It feels like you're just kind of sliding in the same spot, man. But as long as you're paying your bills and you're eating, you're doing good. Because that's the whole point of maintaining like an official like corporate job, right? Where they provide you your insurance and stuff like that. It's like sometimes you get caught up in this big machine where you think it's more important about the amount of money you're making or the amount of stuff you're buying, and not just the simple fact that all you need to do is eat and have a place and some clothes.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, in the past few years, coming from someone that, you know, I did work in the corporate world for a while, they also want to see personal advancement and personal improvement.
Yeah, that would depend on the company too, though. You know what I mean? I think. I mean, I can't give you my honest opinion because I haven't been in that field for a long time, but I do tattoo a lot of blue collar and white collar people as well. And they do say that sometimes
That's very true.
Seems, yeah, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it is that case where like the business doesn't really care too much, man. It's like productivity and stuff. But I agree with you though, Jason. It's the cool part is that I'm recognizing patterns now where more companies are starting to kind of realize, all right, we need to focus on our people. You know what I mean? And how they're treated in the environment that we create for them and stuff like that too, dude. And man, if we can catch that, if that can become a little bit more contagious, so to speak, that'd be incredible. I hate to use that word contagious after all these mask mandates and stuff, right? But so we'll just say if it catches on, if it becomes more popular.
If it catches on, no pun intended.
So let's see. Let's take a look at this real quick. I'm going to show you guys what I got so far, and I think I'm going to play around with this idea. So let's turn the camera sideways.
Guys, I got to get rolling. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, man.
I've got a couple of other things I got to get done this morning before I head to the studio in a little bit. So thank you very much, everyone. Take care. Have a wonderful day. But I have to duck out.
Jason, thanks for jumping in, man.
Anytime. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Jason.
Have a good day, man.
Bye.
Bye.
So I'm going to show you guys real quick what I've done here. You can see how this toned paper works really well with creating that mid-tone that we're looking for. So all I've done is gone through with the same contrast or the same tone of black, which is just a black charcoal pencil. And I've just created little hatches, little marks, and paid attention to those areas that I see where the light doesn't catch, and right next to the areas where it's at its highest point to make those highlighted areas. And then what's helping create the form and the shape is the little accents that I was talking about, the little S curves, the little angles that kind of follow this rectangular or the squared kind of shape, but change it and morph it into a more of a dimensional form, more of a rounded kind of form, I guess I should say. But even on the highlights, I just gestured it in real fast. And it's when you start backing out a little bit more, you start being convinced that you're seeing a little bit more shape there to the skull. So it's pretty cool. Joe, I see that you're working analog as well, or old school, drawing on paper.
You know me.
Mm-hmm.
When have you ever seen me work on a tablet or anything like that?
Now that you mention it, you're right, man. I haven't.
I've never.
Can we see what you got so far, if you don't mind? Yeah, okay. I think that's a pretty good start.
I'm still building it and still working on like the jaw part, like the bottom part of the jaw line and everything else. That's what doesn't look quite the way I want it to, but I like how the eye sockets and the nose cavity kind of fit on the skull. But that's where I'm at.
Cool, man. You know, one of the things that helps me whenever I'm doing these things is here, I'll show you in white pencil real fast. Is let me pull up my image again real fast. Let's see here. So one of the things that help me whenever I'm looking at the image is I will pay attention to the midpoint line. So that's this area right here.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that. And so what I do is that's the main angle of the whole image that I see first and foremost. Okay. And then the other thing that I'll do is I'll pay attention to where those simple shapes and how they're reflected by that midpoint line, if that makes sense. So if you're looking at a clock, let's say this is a clock, and
Right,
here's
right.
12, you know what I mean? Here's 6, 3, and 9. Then you can kind of gauge that this is at about 11. And this will be at about what, 4 or 5 right here, right?
Yeah.
So then this angle that intersects where these cavities, these eye cavities are, is going to be at like 3, or I'm sorry, 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does actually.
So I think if you kind of start breaking it down into these simple relative terms of things that you're used to seeing daily, you can start kind of helping use that as your frame of reference for the angles and stuff like that that we're trying to pay attention to, and helping create these forms. Like even on mine here, like this jawline should actually come down here just a little bit more, I think. So
I see what you're saying, though. I understand what you're getting at.
yeah. So again, it boils down to just the simple recognition of these points and where they intersect. So maybe if you approach it with that kind of thought in mind, it might help out a little bit more, especially when trying to get it down on paper a little bit faster too. And I think what I'm going to do is, Faith, what are you working on?
Just testing some ink.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Are you doing that with brushes on paper?
Yeah, I'm just learning how to mix the colors. I was making blue grays out of blues and browns, and now I'm just kind of painting gradients to kind of get to know, because they all work differently.
Yeah.
Like the browns, they look similar, but like one's red, one's orange, one's yellow. Kind of the vibe. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Let's check that out.
Each one's a blue mixed with gray.
Okay.
Then, and then this is just a bunch of mixtures to see what kind of grays you can out of those. I did 6 colors.
Nice.
Yep.
So that's like, so you're using like less percentage of one color versus another percentage of the other color, but it's still those 3 main colors that you're using, is what you're saying?
Correct. Like I basically I tested the 3 blues with 3 browns to see what kind of effects I can get.
That's awesome.
Like the sapphire, which is like a indigo. That kind of created like more like a purple effect. And then royal was more kind of like a blue green, and then the sky blue was lighter, a little bit of blue green too. But if you neutralize them, they're all really pretty.
Radical.
Yep.
Right. That's awesome, man. And I can see you're experimenting with the raw inks while you're doing it too, right? That's cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to get. I used a different brand for most of my career, so they're more like painting. They're more like Prince palette, and I don't know what the other.
Yeah, I like them a lot. Go ahead. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry about that.
That's just me trying to use the orange to make a blue gradient, and then I use the greens to make pink gradient. Kind of a range of value and hue I can get.
Radical. Very cool, man. So you spend a lot of time like experimenting with that, don't you?
This is how I kind of get to know a new set, like something I'm not just sitting here and mixing the blues together for like 10 minutes can get me through, versus kind of poking around at them during a tattoo or something. It just gets me there faster. Like I just learned so much about blue and orange and the pinks in this set. They didn't go where I thought they were going to go, but I just let them go up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Bitching, man. Bitching. You got a big day today?
Huh?
You got a big day today? Big work day today?
Not really.
But, yeah, my day is pretty easy too, man. I've got a couple friends of mine that are coming in later this evening, and I'm looking forward to that, hanging out with them. It's always fun to be able to tattoo people for so long and that you guys mend real well, you know, or meld real well, that you fucking just like, you want to hang out and stuff. I met some really fun people that way. I think I'm going to turn this skull into like a little spider skull. I met Jorge Lange in Texas a while back, and he's been wanting me to help him out with this, or like not help him out, but collaborate with him on this drawing for a t-shirt. And I think it's gonna be pretty fun. So I'm gonna show you guys how I do this real quick. So on tone paper especially, like it's always fun to be able to use the white charcoal pencil. It's just a white charcoal pencil. And I like to shape it all out and stuff like that still too. And like I like to play around with morphing images together. So when I was drawing this, showing this example for Joe, I started seeing this like spider thing kind of come out. I'm gonna draw some legs on this dude.
Get crazy.
Gonna get crazy with it, man. Yeah, I'm gonna just go wild. And this would be fun to kind of, maybe I can send this to Jorge. I know we have one drawing already on our Procreate app that we've been sharing. I'm still trying to learn that. Joe, you said you haven't messed with Procreate very much, or the tablet very much, man. I guess you can share like files and stuff like that together, and you can kind of, maybe Faith can help us out with this too. You can share Procreate files where you can draw on them together and send them back and forth, or is it like a live real-time kind of thing? You guys know anything about that?
You can only export a Procreate file with paired files.
So what's that?
Double pairs. That would be my guess.
So you just kind of like, you share the Procreate file and that's it. Like, do you have to send it to the email or something like that, or how does it work?
Typically, you'll go where it says share at the very bottom. On Procreate under like the JPEG and stuff, it'll say the Procreate file, and you just share that and get up to them. However, if it's under 10 megabytes, you can do email. Otherwise, you might have to do more of an airdrop or like a file program, like a cloud type of thing.
Yeah, okay.
Or share it on Google or something where you both have access.
Does it have to be a certain DPI or resolution or anything like that?
It's gonna, whatever the settings of the canvas and everything that you set, or is gonna be what the other person gets. It's kind of like if you go to save a file into your own file on the iPad. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, kind of.
Like it's saving a file instead of saving a picture, basically. Like a Photoshop, same kind of thing where it has layers and all the everything that you've got.
I'll just stick with paper.
Yeah. You're like, I'm just gonna mail this one out to you guys. How about that?
I will scan it into the computer because I know how to do that. Okay.
In the computer, yeah, for sure, right? Yeah, man, that's fucking hilarious, dude. Yeah. I've been trying to learn, Faith. No joke. I've been like Jason and Lauren were talking about earlier. I've started from nothing this year, and now I actually have a MacBook and an iPhone. It's fucking wild.
Maybe one day I'll bust down and actually go through that ordeal. Not today, though.
I'm recording my website tutorial module thing, and part of it's digital design. Supposed to get you up and running super fast. You can always do
nice.
That. Once I get it going.
I'll have to be on the lookout for that.
Definitely.
I'll draw a little bit more here and hop off in a little bit. We have some more behind the scenes work that we're going to be doing. I don't know if you guys are going to get an opportunity, but if y'all want to, it'd be cool to meet you guys up at the BYOB. That's coming up in October. I'm looking forward to that, man. That's going to be awesome. It's been so nice being able to be around other artists and stuff again, like in person. Like, this is fun, but it's cool to be able to meet people. Be like, what's up?
Right.
How's it going?
No, I feel it.
Man, this thing is scratchy. All right, so. Well, I gotta make sure, dude. I did one drawing for him, and I was looking at the image. I was like studying the drawing again. Like, okay, how can I keep finishing this? How can I add? What can I add more to it to make it kind of unique and blah blah blah. And I started counting the legs in the drawing that I did for him. I ended up having like 9 legs on there. It's crazy. So to all you guys that are paying attention, make sure to count the legs in your spiders before you draw them for a tattoo for sure.
Right.
Oh
Oops.
man, I was like, oh no, dude, I can't believe, like, he's such a nice dude. He didn't say anything about it, and I caught it, so it's good.
That and octopus legs.
Right.
Spider and octopus legs. Count them both.
Right.
Because
Count them both.
it's easy to be like, that's enough.
Yeah. No doubt, right? Yeah. Spell check is my friend for sure. All right, so I'll show you guys real fast what I got going on here. I think we'll start doing some signing off. Let's turn this guy to the side. Yep, just got a little sketcheroo in here real fast. But again, you can see how I started out with the whites and I just shaped out that basic triangle. I started playing around with some different placements for the legs and everything. And then I'm going to go through and doctor in these areas where the legs kind of tuck from underneath this body and like play around with the placement of it a little bit more. But I like the idea that this is like the back end of the spider. And then I'll go through and put some spider webs and stuff, maybe some organic kind of stuff coming out. I don't know. We'll see. I think I'll send this to George and see how he feels about it. But yeah, that's about it. So, guys, y'all want to say a good goodbye and hello to everybody? Let them know how to get a hold of you and stuff like that. Face, if we can start with you, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram. My username is WinColor, WYNNCOLOR, and the website is the same, but kind of it's all down right now, but it should be back up in a week or two.
Nice.
Yep.
Cool. I see that painting behind you too, man. That's the one that you were working on yesterday, right? Yep.
Yeah, that was a little bit more yellow. I think the background's a little bit too bright now, but
yeah,
I'm trying to brighten up the flower and mute the background a little, but it makes it pop. So I'm like, I kind of like it, but I feel like the flower's not bright enough now.
Yeah, I think if you made it, yes, I do. And I think I can see exactly what you're saying. You know, I think if you were to do like a vignette kind of thing with it,
right?
Maybe use some glazes from the outside. Yeah, that looks great, dude.
Oh, that looks nice.
Yeah. Excuse me. That's fantastic. Killer job.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. I really like the pattern on that front petal too. You can see how it's like helping with the curve and the form of that shape. So that's great. Yeah.
Thanks.
Have you played around with a lot of glazes or anything like that, like for the acrylics?
I definitely like water down paint and put it on top, but I don't know if that's actually what a glaze is. That would-
You can use it. It can be used that same way, yeah. But if you try to mix, like you like mixing colors to get different, values and hues and stuff like that, try
Mhm.
and go to the store and pick up like a glazing medium for acrylics, and
Okay.
apply different amounts of paint to the glaze and stuff like that, and you'll get some different effects, like as far as the opacity goes. And that would help out a lot, dude. I think that like it already looks killer, but I think if you did like a vignette thing where it's with some blacks with the glazing effect, it would be
I
killer.
like
Yes. Yep.
I was kind
Yeah, because
of paint gray for a while, but yeah, figure that out. But I never.
well,
I've
so
never
the cool part about it too, Faith, is that like it'll help, the way opaques work, it'll help with that gray still kind of coming through a little bit more too. So it'll get a little more depth to the paint, whereas water, it just kind of dilutes it,
Okay. I have
So
a couple
with
mediums, but they're not specifically glazing. So I
yeah,
got you.
just go to the store, pick it up, man. Use a clean brush or something like that, and just mix up. Try a couple test swatches. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
try it out with like different volumes, like as far as the paint to the glazing medium ratio, and
Yeah.
you'll get a lot of cool effects. And you can even use it with other colors and stuff like that too, not just blacks. And you can really achieve some very oil painterly kind of looks with acrylics, man. So it's pretty wild.
All right, I'll check that out.
Yeah. And just go ahead and message me if you have any questions.
Sure.
I'm always here.
Absolutely.
So cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yep.
Joe, you want to let us know how to get a hold of you, bud?
Hi.
Hello.
My name's Joseph McFarland. You can find me at Mountain State Tattoos. It's the shop I work at. It's a little shop in West Virginia. So it's a fun time.
Cool. Are you on Facebook or Instagram or anything?
You can find me on Facebook, but it's it's through the Mountain State thing, so it's easy to find.
Okay. Cool. Radical, man. Well, thanks for joining us. Always
All the
appreciate it.
time, anytime.
Yes, sir. Well, okay, man. Guys, my name is Ricardo Sturdivant, and let's see if we can't unpin this thing here real fast. Oh, there we go. Yeah, 1 second, guys. Yeah. Let's see. My name is Ricardo Sturdivant. You can find me at Candor Tattoo. That's CANDORTATTOO on Instagram. You can also find me on Reinventing the Tattoo app under Ricardo Sturdivant. Thank you guys for joining us every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you guys get a chance, the drawing group with Guy Aitchison last night was moved to tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I believe that's when it is. So if you guys get a chance, join it, man. It's awesome. You can jump in and Zoom. You can draw on paper if you want to. I think tonight he's still going to be going over some still lifes, and he's been doing a lot of oil paintings and stuff like that. So that's always fun to experiment with. Lauren, thank you so much. You've been traveling a lot this last weekend and did a lot of work. So I can't tell you how much it means to be able to get on here and have you help out as much as you do. So